Not going to sing. Okay. Uh, It is Mike Washkowiak's birthday, what I just said on the hotline. So sorry, but we're not, he's asked that we don't sing to him, so we won't. He's 27 tonight. Tonight, we're going to start with prayer as we get an opportunity to do before each of our meetings. And tonight, we've got Pastor Des Venter. Des is the senior pastor at Fellowship Bible Church in Springdale. Please lead us in prayer. Thank you, Pastor.
Pray. Our Father in heaven, may your name be exalted and may your will be done here on earth as it is in the heavenlies. I thank you for these council members and their willingness to serve in this capacity. Grant them peace and encouragement as they serve the constituents. I pray that you would tonight give this council much wisdom and discernment as they discuss the agenda before them. I pray that they would be led in accordance with your holy inerrant word. I pray that they would not only understand the weight of their responsibilities, but they would be reminded of the shepherds their hearts as they discuss. Allow them to be led in such a way that the interests of others be their sincerest desire. I pray this evening for the country as a whole and for the leadership that you have sovereignly installed. Pray particularly for our heroes who serve in the armed forces. Comfort and encourage them this hour. Be gracious to them, protect them all as they serve in ways that many of us can't imagine. Allow them to know your peace as they lead us in war. I pray for this council as they serve, that each individual might know the truth of Christ and his work for that they would trust in him and his gracious act of atonement. They would increase in their knowledge of the breadth, the depth, and the height of Christ's love for them. They would indeed know Christ and him crucified. Thank you for your watch care, and pray now, Lord, that you would lead this meeting for your purposes. I pray all these things with much dependency on Christ. Work in us.
Thank you so much, Pastor. I appreciate that. By the way, some of you may have noticed the Southern accent. He grew up in the deep South, Johannesburg, South Africa.
I'd like to call the March 5th Committee of the Whole meeting to order, please. Roll call.
Mike,
Here.
Tim,
Here.
Larry,
Here.
Amber, Daniel.
Here.
Misty. Here.
Next. And for the pledge, please. Next, I seek approval of the agenda.
Can I make a comment on that before we
Absolutely.
discuss that? The old business ordinance that's in your packet is not the correct ordinance. It's got the citizenship language. That is not the correct ordinance. Correct ordinance is with the special agenda, and it's only expanding the membership from 5 to 7 of the Planning Commission. So with that, just take that old one out, just use the one that's for the special, for the old business discussion. And then I'd make a motion to approve.
I'm sorry, I had a question as well. If we could, I know it's weird when we've got old business, new business, but I was asking the attorney beforehand if we could change the order a little bit. If we could hear from the Planning Commission candidates before we decided whether or not to. I don't know if that's something that we can do legally or not. Council, I'd appreciate your input on that.
Yeah, I believe so, if you guys vote on it and agree.
There is a motion on the table from Mr. Washkowiak that would supersede mine.
Would also, we had something that was tabled at the last cow. Is that not going to be discussed tonight, or we
No,
move it?
there's still some missing pieces.
Hey, Mike's got it first.
And I think,
Okay.
could I, yeah, we'll let his motion go. I'd like to add something to, there was something that was passed at the city council meeting that I got an email back today, and I just think we should have some public discussion on that and see what going to occur on that. So I'd like to add it to your motion, Mike, if you could. You recall, we had the 2023 and 2024 sales tax remitter reports. We passed a resolution to send to the DFA a request for those within 10 business days, and that has not occurred. So if we could have a discussion on that, I'd like to see that on the agenda tonight.
Well, it sounds like there's three different things there. Are you guys amenable to putting all those together and voting, or would you rather not?
If he,
No,
if he,
those are two.
So we need a motion. Mike made a motion.
For all three?
No.
Mike made a motion. I need to have a second on his motion.
Well, maybe we should discuss Tim's idea to hear the people before we vote on expansion. I mean, I sent a questionnaire to all the candidates. I got good responses back from all the candidates. I mean, I feel like I know what they're going to say. The public doesn't know what they're going to say. I've got a lot of good things from everybody who replied. I do have a few extra questions that I was going to throw at them. It doesn't matter to me if you guys want to hear from them first before we vote to expand. That's fine. I'm not sure it really matters because the expansion won't go into effect until after the special anyway. So
That's a
I
fair
would
point.
stick with my original motion, but if other people want to hear the discussions first, we can take that up too.
What you can do is you can do all three motions and just amend yours, Mike, to include the other two, Tim's and Danny's, and then we can vote on all three at the same time.
Do yours and does yours and mine conflict enough that doesn't make?
I don't think it does. The one that Mr. Montez put forward, I don't, with the planning commission.
Well, I don't think it needs to be part of the planning commission, but we could still get it on the agenda. It could be a
Sure,
different,
I don't
a
care
different
if we put
agenda
it on.
item. Okay,
so if you'll amend yours, Mr. Washkoyak, to include mine in the new business, I could give you a second, but if it's not gonna be in there, I'm not gonna.
You want to put that in?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
So,
put that in.
so you
what's
want
the
to
new
put
motion?
23, 24 as in?
Yes, sir.
And then I don't see under 9A that we are going into executive session. I presume that we are, but I don't see that on the agenda. Is that a false presumption?
That is not a false presumption, but that's something as far as I know, it's not on the agenda. We go to the executive session if we so.
Counselor, does that need to be on the agenda?
I don't know if it needs to, but why don't you go ahead and make a motion and put it on there?
Sure. Then the motion, and by the way, Mike, I agree with your point on your ordinance. But if we could amend that so that 9A becomes, or I should say 8A becomes 8B with an executive session at 9A. Sorry, 8A becomes 9B. We've got an executive session at 9A. Then I would be happy to go in that direction too. Sorry, we don't usually spend this much time on trying to do.
Well, we had a little bit of
Get 'em in there.
Yeah, me too.
Let me try to. Here's what I'm suggesting, and it's your motion, not mine, Mike. So I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but my suggestion is that where 8 is old business, that we basically get rid of 8, make what is now 9 the new 8, and we have that discussion to set and affirm appointments to the Tontitown Planning Commission, followed by an executive session. And then after that, we have the discussion of the ordinance to expand the Tontitown Planning Commission to 7 members. So this would just come down. It's a weird thing to do because it's old business, new business. And as you've already pointed out, that doesn't go into effect until the special meeting. I'm not trying to make trouble. I just am.
Anybody got anything? Yay, nay, maybe?
Would like a favor while we're waiting and to figure this out. Is there someone that can print the letters out? They're not in our packet. And I did not have the opportunity to print them out. I just have them in email. In case we wanted to take notes while we're in executive session.
Sir,
Mr. Chair, I would say we got a motion on the table. I didn't hear an amendment, so I haven't heard a second, so I would say we either let this die and we have another motion come forward, or we're gonna wait here for him to have a second.
Well, here's my understanding of the way things work right now. If we stick with the agenda as currently proposed, there shouldn't be much discussion on the expansion. We've discussed this a number of times already. We vote on that. Obviously, it cannot go into effect until the special meeting, but there's an emergency clause. All right, so let's say we decide to pass it on to the CAL, that we're going to expand the planning commission to 7 members. I don't see why we can't just keep it as it is, in the order that it is, and make the determinations after the presentations.
I'm fine with
And
that.
then if we vote in special to put it into effect, because there is an emergency clause, I guess we could decide at that time. We know the situation. If we expand to 7, there's basically 5 spots, and we basically have 5 people applying for 3 right now.
So here's the potential problem with that. You're right. It would have to go into effect at the special meeting or special meeting after this one. But if we say, hey, guess what, guys, all 5 of you are there, and then it doesn't pass later, I don't know why it wouldn't, then we have to go back and say, all right, you and you.
We're only going
don't
to
know.
appoint 3 right now, and then you, I mean, that's because that's what the code is. We're only
Okay.
at 5, so we can't say, okay, we're going to let you all in, and then the
Okay.
thing doesn't pass, and we got to
Okay.
kick 2 people out.
That's
Thank you
wrong.
for
Thank you for explaining that. It makes
Okay.
perfect sense to me. I'm totally fine with that.
All right.
So then what is on the table for your motion is the verbiage change on the ordinance?
Well, the only, the ordinance that we're going to vote on is only the expansion.
Okay,
Not the old one that had the citizenship
okay.
requirement.
So that doesn't
It's
need
only
a,
about
that
expanding.
doesn't need an agenda change per se.
No.
It's just for us to know. And then,
Danny's.
Councilmember Montez? Go ahead. You had something you wanted to add as well?
Yes, I think to the new business, we should add letter N, discussion of the 2023-2024 sales tax remitter reports, and the resolution that was passed at.
Okay, so did the other motion die, or are we still talking about that first motion?
If the gentleman's willing to amend,
Yeah, I think I said I'd amend mine to put your in.
Okay. And I will-
Leave mine just leave the agenda as is.
I'll second that.
All right.
Roll call. Mike?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You
I
believe?
think I made the motion on my own
Oh,
deal, so.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Danny said.
Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Did it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have approval of the February 3rd, 2026 Committee of the Whole minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Larry,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Next, we have comments from citizens. Anyone that'd like to talk about something, please come forward. Try to keep your comments 3 minutes or less. You can pull it down.
I'm not that tall. My name is Susan Cohout, and I live at 140 Renali. Probably seen me in the last few months kind of lurking in back benches, and I thought it was time for me to introduce myself. Here for basically two reasons. One, I'm a citizen of Tontitown, and I'm interested in what's going on in my community. I'm also a member of the League of Washington County. And in recent months, they have been reorganizing and re-energizing their observer corps. League's mission is to promote good government and democracy. And you can't really do that if you don't know how the governments work. So idea of an observer corps, some member volunteers kind of adopts and attends their meetings and just sits and listens and learns and learn how the processes work, how you guys do your business, what are the issues that are. So I will be here next month, watching and listening and learning and asking you some questions from time to time. I'll watch your videotapes or this website.
Thank you.
I'm Anna Watkins. I'm with Forgotten Paws. I've come in at least once before. We are a 501c3 nonprofit animal shelter that is in Tontitown right over here at the 612 interstate. We are asking for support of the city in any way, shape, or form. We are guaranteeing support to y'all when you have a dog come in, have an arrest, have a situation where a dog needs or cat needs to be brought in. We are willing to help. We would love a contract with you guys at some point. We would love support of the city.
Kenneth Lovett, Arkansas. We have a class action lawsuit taking place on Wednesday, March 11th at 2 p.m. on the Washington County Courthouse. Judge 3. Issues. Be listening to issues with Eco Vista Land. Anybody that's
Anyone else? Anyone online?
We are getting massive from citizens, stray dogs that are killing their livestock, that are hurting and harming children, being dumped. We have no animal ordinances. Got 40 dumped at our place. I'd like to help y'all. We've got other cities that are wanting to utilize us as over. We want to keep. What am I supposed to do when I've got women? We've called everybody. No animal officer come out to our facility. Tontitown has the same amount of square footage that Fayetteville does. I don't understand. I would really like to get some from our wonderful city on things that are going to protect our kids, going to protect our community, protect our old. We just got done trying to partner anybody we can is getting. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a 3-year-old child. I can show you. If anybody'd like to see some. I don't know if anybody understands. We're not here to save everybody. We'd like to keep our kids getting hundreds of phones. And I can talking. Appreciate you.
Anyone else? Next, we're going to have a discussion of an ordinance to expand the Tontitown Planning Commission to 7 members. Mr. Wiscozier.
So I think all of you have heard everything that you hear from me on why I think this is important. We had 7 applicants, and a couple of them did withdraw at the last minute, but we had 7 for 3 spots. A sitting council member could also serve on the commission. They so choose and get appointed. I don't think that this is an issue filling these slots. I think also just based on the diversity of the responses from the applicants that I got, we have very good candidates who are applying these positions. So I just don't see why we can't at least give it a try. So that's my piece on it.
Council.
I don't know if you guys had an opportunity or not, but I reached out to several of the members of the planning commission, and I asked them. I had a chance to talk to all but one. Asked them if they thought it should expand. And one of the people I talked to, not looking to. Okay, can you guys hear me now? So I called all the members of the planning commission, and all but one, and it's one of the ones that are stepping off, all but one said that they thought 5 was a good number. Maybe there was one case, well, maybe we had go to 6, but everybody felt like 5 was. That's our commission. That's our planning commission. I know one of the major concerns was getting a quorum, and I asked them, can you think of a time when there wasn't a quorum? And somebody said, I think there might have been once when there wasn't a quorum. I don't know. So it hasn't been an issue where we haven't had a quorum. And one of the people I talked to said, I don't think it matters between 5 and 4 anyway if somebody didn't show up. But there was one of the folks I talked to said, I've missed on several occasions, but that particular person wasn't planning on. So I understand that particular logic about the quorum. I don't think the quorum necessarily creates an issue, especially if somebody's appointed there that is able to make it more often. So I don't see that. The other thing, and this is one of those things that just, it always just, I mean, you guys know me well enough to know that this always kind of bothers me, but if we put on two more people, this may not seem like a big deal when we're dealing with a city budget, but it's $600 extra a month, $7,200 a year. And if I were to ask any one of you, will you take $600 out of your family budget? Will you take $7,200 out of your family budget to get these 2 extra voices on the planning commission? I suspect most of you would be hesitant to pay that out of your own pocket. But we're very quick to ask taxpayers to pay for all manner of things. And this is one of those positions, I think, where we're asking taxpayers to pay for something that our current commission doesn't necessarily think is an issue. I personally don't think is an issue. I think that 5 has been a good number. And so you guys, again, you've heard me say this over and over again. The added piece this time around was that I actually asked the commission what they thought, and I'm surprised to hear that they agreed with me.
Daniel, anything?
No, sir.
As a rebuttal to that, obviously in the last 3 years, we saw the figures where we've added, what, 3,600 people to the Tontitown population. Again, the $600 a month that's not an issue at all. I understand. Well, for two
But times two.
people, for 2 people. So, yeah, I'm doing it in total. You know, I think the positives for it far outweigh the negatives, but again, I'm done discussing it, and I'm gonna make a motion to approve this.
Second.
You mean to move it to special?
Well, we got to vote on it to move it to special, yeah.
The mayor would like to say something?
I just wanted to reaffirm what Mr. Burris has said. I also spoke with the planning, not all of them, but several of them, and they said exactly what you have discussed, that they would rather stay at 5.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we had a first and a second, so roll call. This is to expand and move to, okay, to expand. Roll call.
Daniel,
No.
Tim,
No.
Mike,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Misty.
Yes.
We have,
Only go 3-2.
Ms. Council, when we have only 5 present, is 3 considered a quorum?
When you have 5 present, a majority would be quorum.
So that
Yeah.
passes to special?
Moving it on to special. All right, next, we have a discussion of a resolution to set and affirm appointments to the Tontitown Planning Commission. Mr. Harlock.
Ladies and gentlemen, and appreciate your willingness to listen to this. We have 5 candidates here tonight for the open seats that now we have available. Move forward to special session. They're here to speak. You're here to ask questions. We did send out the applications about 2 weeks ago. Sorry, did not get in your packet, but we did send them out enough ahead of time. Hopefully you guys had a chance to review and to reach out to any of them. They are here tonight to answer any questions you may have. So you can go down the list, who you'd like to hear first or however you want to do it, but they're all here, and we'll just have them come up one at a time and you guys can ask your questions. All right?
Sir?
Okay. We have two members that have been on the commission and they're reapplying. One has decided to step aside, but the 2 are here, so we'll just let them speak first. Josh Crane, James Dean. So Josh, you want to come up?
Good evening. Josh Crane, 2846 Gray Drive. You just want me to talk about myself or have any questions? Let her rip. Well, Mr. Washkowiak sent some questions, so yes, it would be prudent and easiest to read them to you and read my responses. Question number 1 was, why are you interested in serving on the commission? My answer, I love having the opportunity to help our community through government work. I believe government has strayed from its original intent, and having the ability to do right by the taxpayers is my priority. I believe government serves the taxpayer. Done the right way, a city's growth needs to rely heavily on those who work and live around it. The needs, wants, desires must be listened to. Otherwise, you have government planning what's best for government, not necessarily what's best for the taxpayer. During the last 5 years serving on the Tontitown Planning Commission, I believe I have helped advance that vision. I also have the privilege of serving on the building committee for the new Tontitown Police Station, and my wife is the chair of the Parks and Rec Committee. Needless to say, my family's vested in this community. Question number 2, what professional, civic, or life experiences prepare you for this role? I own and operate 2 successful contracting businesses in NWA. In both businesses, we interpret and implement state building codes daily. I am heavily involved in the State of Arkansas Electrical Board of Examiners, where I take on an advisory role. I stay in close communication with the board members, offering thoughts and ideas on new and existing codes that significantly impact Arkansans. I have served on the Tontitown Planning Commission for 5 years. No other candidate can say that. I believe I have done what I thought was right in every decision. I have listened to both sides of every situation, evaluated, reasoned, and reached at least a mutual understanding. I have stood up for my values, for community values, for city values when needed. I have compromised when necessary to do my best for this community. I'm not intimidated by opposition. I welcome it. I welcome different ideas because I understand my approach may not be the best one. I believe you would be hard pressed to find someone who values honesty and integrity as much as I do. Question number 3, what do you value most about Tontitown? The people. That's what I value most. Number 4, what is the role of Planning Commission versus City Council? Which Mike already knows the answer to this, so he was quizzing us, I think. But this is my thoughts. The Planning Commission steers development. It's our job to listen to both sides of the aisle, whether that be the developer or the taxpayer. We develop and implement codes based on community involvement. It is also the Planning Commission's job to look to the future. Infrastructure is huge, growth is real, and unfortunately unavoidable. If we don't take an active approach to look ahead and prepare for that growth, we will undoubtedly fall behind. We have to be proactive. City Council serves as the city's legislative branch. I believe it is their job to ensure city budget suits city business. City budget should actually be called the taxpayer budget, because that's exactly what it is. City council members should be cognizant of this and remember that this isn't city money, it is taxpayer money. If the aldermen would not spend it with their own money, they shouldn't spend it. City council is also responsible for working hand in hand with the planning commission. Much of what the planning commission reviews or attempts to implement requires city council approval. This is why it is so important for the two bodies to understand each other and work together to drive what is best for the taxpayer. The best form of government is one where we all work together. Question 5, how should Tontitown manage its future residential and commercial growth? First and foremost, we must listen to the taxpayer. We need a vision for the future, not only have a vision, but also be able to implement action to reach our vision. Without action, at the end of the day, it is only a vision. Number 6, how would you handle public opposition to a proposal that meets city code? Answer, I would handle it the same way I have for the past 5 years. I will listen, reason, and compromise if necessary. If I believe there is a reasonable explanation against a particular city code, then we may need to look into changing that code. If opposition to the particular code is in the minority and there is not a reasonable explanation, then the code is what it is until it becomes a legitimate problem. Cities evolve, codes should too. Just because it worked 50 years ago doesn't mean it works today. Question 7, are you willing to apply adopted ordinances even if you personally disagree? Absolutely, as long as the idea is in the majority. Questions?
Council, any questions for Mr. Crane?
Pretty much nailed everything I was going to ask.
Hey. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Josh, could I ask a question? I know that there's been some concern about where you live and in this role. Is that something that you want to address or care to address?
I can address it. I do live in the county. State Law Act 314 got repealed. There's 3 parts to that law. The part that got repealed was the local municipality's jurisdiction outside of city limits. The other 2 parts that did not get repealed is the state law, the part that says up to 1/3 of the commission can come from the recorded planning area. The 3rd part of that law was the recorded planning area. Either of those 2 got repealed. There is an AG opinion. We've asked for an AG opinion. If the AG opinion comes back against me, then I will resign. No questions asked. I do not think the AG opinion will come back against me. I think that.
Thank you.
So, but 98% of what I've voted on in the last 5 years has been within inside the city. You know, I'm on Tontitown water. I'm a taxpayer. And to not give me the right to voice, be a part of planning commission is wrong. Wrong. And the fact that state law still says I can.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
That does give me, I think I have a question for council more on that part. So if we do allow Josh to maintain his position on that, what does that do to anything that's passed through the planning commission and then up to the city council? And I mean, there's some things that don't even come to city council. I think through the board of zoning and adjustments, that stuff doesn't come to us. What does that do to the, if something's too good?
Yeah, I mean, it could certainly raise questions about the legitimacy of something if a planning commissioner voted in favor of something and then state law changed where it invalidated that commissioner's seat, that could jeopardize the underlying decision, of course. But I think we've discussed, some potential workarounds while we're waiting on the AG's opinion. That's your question.
And would that only come into effect for that vote, the deciding vote? If it's unanimous, is it irrelevant?
I think there's a very tenable argument for that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it makes common sense, but common sense and the law don't always.
I mean, yeah, qualified with, I have not looked into that particular question. I think you've raised a very tenable position.
Well, and I think, once the opinion comes down, because it all boils down to what the intent was.
Right.
And I think we discussed that ad nauseum last time too, so.
Sure. And just by way of update, I did reach out to Senator Bryant this week to see if he had heard anything, and he said he would reach back out, but he has not heard from the Attorney General's office, other than it's processing its way through their channels.
Yeah, and I know that can take some time.
Yep.
So, thank you, Mr. Farrar.
Sure.
Next, Mr. Dean.
Okay, I plan to be brief because I know y'all have a long meeting tonight, per usual. Good evening, Mayor and ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Dean. I live at 1025 Trailwood Street here in Tontitown. I am presently serving my second term as Vice Chair of the Planning Commission. I have successfully completed the state-sponsored Training for Planning course, and I am deeply committed to serving my community. I want to make sure we grow at a responsible pace, both commercially and residentially. To assess this proposed building project, I asked 3 questions. What is the majority opinion of the citizens? Does it align with our planning and zoning? Is it appropriate for our city and our citizens? Most of you have attended or watched the Planning Commission meeting. You know my positions, how I prepare for the meetings, and voting record. I respectfully request your consideration for another term this evening. I will state that codes and ordinances are a living, breathing thing, changing. I've learned a lot in the last 4 years, but I know there's still a lot more need to learn as we're growing and changing. So I hope you will give me that opportunity.
Council, questions from Mr. Dean?
You.
Next, Mr. Chris Trout.
Hello, my name is Chris Trout, obviously, 1278 Kelly Avenue. And unfortunately, I don't have a printer, but what Mike sent out on the questions, I'm going to read from my iPhone. Let's see. And my eyes aren't great, so here we go. Okay, so the first one is, why are you interested in serving on the commission? So, what I sent back to Mike, I've watched Tontitown grow, and I want to ensure that as we expand, thank you, as we expand, we don't lose the small town feel that brought us here. I want you to contribute to responsible land use decisions that benefit both current residents and future generations. Second one is what professional, civic, or life experience prepares you for this role? I can just tell you that at my time at JB Hunt, which was 25 years, part of that, about a 5-year part of that career was opening up field offices on a brokerage side throughout the United States. I was working internally with our real estate people or department, and then they would set up meetings with the realtors at different cities that we were opening up these offices. So, we were mainly looking at Class A properties, some Class B, but mainly Class A. And, working with legal documents as well. But I'm not saying that makes me an expert. But you see that the shirt I have on says the Little Gym. I think I've mentioned before and previously, is that we have 2 locations. The first one I bought in 2018 was in Rogers. And then we expanded and opened up a second location. And I don't know if you know what Little Gym is, but it caters to young kids and fundamental gymnastics. And so anyway, the reason I bring that up is because the opening in Fayetteville, that was a build out. So that was working with permits and different codes and everything in Fayetteville. And then Rogers, we moved from the location we were in to a new location. And so we got 2 build outs basically with the Little Gym. So, there's, some examples of different opportunities to work with, codes and permits and et cetera. Okay, what do you most value about Tontitown? Tontitown has been a part of my life since, I hate to say this, since the late 60s. So my parents moved here in 67 when I was 4 years old. If you had an idea how old I am, or how young I am. We grew up on Robinson Road, and if you know where that's at, I grew up on the Illinois River on 600 acres. And it's a sod farm now, but back then it was just dairy and poultry. So I married Rose Sabatini, and this was 1990. We were married for 25 years. And if you know where the John Deere dealership is, that's the homestead. So when I drive past that, it brings back a lot of memories. I remember the Mercantile, which is the bridal place now, when we'd get out of church, when Angie and I were kids, we'd walk over and get a piece of gum. And the Skelly station, I don't know if anybody remembers that, gas cans, and before we head back to the farm. I also wanted to mention that I have volunteered at the Great Festival at the bingo stand since the early 90s. So it was Ani and Mark and I and the Hucks that I live next to. But that's been on and off. And then I can see the landfill from my house during the winter months. But there's no other town or place I would rather be than where I'm at right now. So that's my answer on that one. What was number 4? What's the role of the Planning Commission versus City Council? I know, just a short answer, the commission handles the how and the where of the development. Council handles the laws and the money. And then number 5, how should Tontitown manage its future residential and commercial growth? Growth is inevitable in Northwest Arkansas, but it should be infrastructure led. We need to ensure roads, water, emergency services can handle new developments before they are approved. We should also strive for a mix of commercial growth to strengthen our tax base, reduce the burden on residential property owners. We also need to ensure that with new subdivisions going up, we look at how it affects our neighbors, me, not just me, with water runoff. As I have mentioned before, not getting involved has impacted my property personally. So this is a reason, one of the reasons I like to get involved. Number 6, how would you handle public opposition to a proposal that meets city code? I would listen to the public's concerns with empathy, and ensure their voices are heard. However, if a project meets all legally adopted city codes, the commissioner's role is to approve it. Denying a code compliant project based solely on public clamor can lead to lawsuits against the city. My job is to follow the law while encouraging developers to be good neighbors. And then the last one was, as a commissioner, oh, I'm sorry, that was the answer. Are you willing to apply, adopt ordinances even if you personally disagree? So just a legal answer here. As a commissioner, I am an agent of the law, not a policymaker. If I believe an ordinance is flawed, I can recommend that the city council review or change it. But while it's on the books, I must apply fairly and consistently to every applicant. So I hope that satisfies everybody's answers. And Mike, Mr. Wojciechowski, thank you for putting this together, sending this out.
Sure.
That was great questions. And if anybody has any questions for me, here to answer.
Council, anything else?
I'm just gonna ask one of the new guys, because I know the old guys and kind of what they think on these, so don't be offended because I didn't ask you guys questions. But, the state of Arkansas hasn't officially declared a housing emergency, but in kind of a sense, the legislature senses that there is a housing shortage, housing emergency. What do you think Tontitown should do differently, if anything, than what it's doing right now to address that situation?
I think, great question. So I moved here in '02 off of Kelly. And I think back when the subdivisions were going up, and I'll use South Point as an example, I didn't personally get involved or look at the plans because I was traveling 70% out of the month, and shame on me. But the water runoff, I don't think was properly, I don't know, looked at engineering wise, how it would affect people that live where the water runs down towards South Penalto. I say that because I think over the last 5 years, it's gone much better. I drive down Clinks all the time since you guys put the stoplight up. And it's just easier to get, on and off 412. And, I look at those developments right now, and I see, like the rain that we had last night, the runoff, to me, it's not flooding over into the roads or the streets. So I think everybody's doing a really good job today over the last few years. I don't know if that answers your question, but, I'm not against growth. I'm not against subdivision. I know they're coming. I moved out here, like I said, 20 plus years ago, get away from the city, so to speak. Because back then, this was rural. This was like out in the country. So it's caught up with me. I've got my own little 3-acre island, and I'm happy with that. I don't plan on going anywhere. So yeah, I'm going to embrace it, as well as commercial. And then also beautification of the city. Nobody really speaks about that, but I know it has been brought up, because I know what you're doing on South Barrington, which I love that. And then, Henry DeTonte, 412, some suggestions, I think, from the last cow. I'm all in favor of that. I want to see the city. I've visited so many cities in my travels. I know what's pretty and what's not. And going through Tontitown, you've got, the new part, pretty part, sidewalks, trees, landscaping. And then you got stuff that was built, 20, 30 years ago. That's unattractive. I don't mean to bring those businesses down or anything, but, there's things that we can do to beautify the city. Okay.
I've got a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
So what do you think our biggest challenge is here in the years coming up with Tontitown?
Growth. That's a double-edged sword. An opportunity, and it's also a challenge. How do you manage that? Because you've got a lot of people that have been here. You okay, Mr. Wojciechowski? Okay, sorry. You've got a lot of people that have been here for years that, are reluctant to see that growth, but it's coming. Make no mistake about it. If you go to Siloam Springs, look what's happening there. And, it's coming east out of Siloam right now. So it's going to continue. And it's just how do we manage it? To where not everybody's going to be happy, because I know what everybody does up here is a thankless job. You've got as many people upset with you as that agree with you. I get that. So I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but just how we manage it.
That works for me. Thanks.
Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Evans.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Scott Evans. I live at 1867 Dow Road. We've been here since January of 22. Moved on the 12th, Thursday, because I moved on the 13th. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm a graduate of the University of Arkansas, bachelor's degree in architecture. Graduated in December of 91, practiced architecture from 92 to 98, practiced in Little Rock. I received my license there in Little Rock in 96. I started a design build, excuse me, my voice is a little hoarse from again last night. Started a design build construction company from 98 to 2010. Then went back into general contracting as a project manager, and worked as a regional construction manager for Murphy USA, covered basically 16 states from 2013 to 18. I believe that one thing that I was asked to is to present why I would be a candidate for the Planning Commission. I think just from my experience, my education, dealing with municipalities, not only in Arkansas, but across the southeast part of the country. I mean, it's amazing how similar everyone is. We deal with growth all the time. We deal with the same issues. Even larger cities deal with the same issues that population of 10,000 deal with, larger scale. I can read some of these answers that I gave Mike on my questionnaire. Why are you interested in serving the commission? And I answered serving on the commission would be an opportunity to use some of my experience and professional experience to serve the community that I live in. What professional, civic, and life experiences prepare you for this role? I kind of think I've kind of touched on that as my career. One thing that I talked to Tim about is, with my experience, I've sat in every possible position on an AIA contract. As an architect, as an owner representation, as a general contractor, and now as a subcontractor. So I know the language, I know some of the procedures that need to happen to make things move. Also know how to negotiate once things come to a roadblock, because every construction situation doesn't always seem to go awkward, unfortunately. What do you value most about Tontitown? Like I said, we've been here since 2022. And one thing that's impressed me is just the sense of the community that Tontitown seems to bond together. I mean, whether it's the Great Festival that's every year, just the weekly events at the winery, they pack that house every week, it seems like. And then also even coming together to voice concerns and demands and oppositions to protect the city. It's pretty impressive. What is the role of the Planning Commission versus City Council? I think everyone said that, but the Planning Commission is kind of the body that works primarily as an advisory role, kind of does some of the implementation And then the council also is the body that makes the laws, makes the ordinance, approves the budgets, and handles the heavy lifting on the government side. How should Tontitown manage the future residential and commercial growth? I think one thing that, one of the questions that you asked is what's coming next. And that's kind of the mindset, I think, as a commissioner that you need to be in, is make decisions of what's in front of you, but you've got to think what's next. Because that's what's coming. And just my experience here in Tontitown short time, I believe it's roads. Growth is going to come, but the roads and how you handle what's coming extremely important. Those roads are going to have to be in front of. How would you handle any public opposition? I believe that open conversation, open discussion, and also clear, efficient education. Sometimes in opposition, right education, what the argument would be. And are you willing to apply and adopt ordinances even if you personally agree? And that's a pretty simple answer of yes. I mean, once the ordinance is adopted as law, your personal opinions are all law-abiding citizens. Hey. Questions?
I just want to follow up on since you're a relative newcomer to Tontitown, what do you see as, I mean, I think we would all agree with you on the roads issue, but you have like a top 3 pinpoint areas. I think most of us can probably say the same thing, but I'm just interested in hearing what you would have to say about that.
I mean, one thing is that east-west circulation, very difficult unless you want to commit to 12. It's tough. And I've had some experiences in some other towns. I think I talked to Tim about, there's a city in central Arkansas called Bryant, Arkansas. You all know about it. But it derived and was created basically on the Interstate 30. They use Interstate 30 almost like Main Street. And I think I told Tim, you would probably go to a local Walmart parking lot and ask some people that live in Bryant where is City Hall, and they probably wouldn't be able to tell you because they use 830 until recent, and they struggled. They struggled because all commercial development was only on Interstate 30, and they had some really big issues with arterial roads to be able to get around their city and their town, and it was growing fast, real fast. Probably this is going to replicate.
Got a situational question for you.
Mhm.
So let's say that there's something that comes before the board that meets code and all, dots all the i's, crosses all the t's, but you've got public opposition. What do you feel your stance?
I think hypothetically it'd be tough to answer that just because it kind of depends on what that issue is. I think that would be kind of like what I said earlier, part of the commission would maybe try to educate that opposition to be able to say, hey, we're not thinking about this step, we're thinking about the next 2 steps. And, that's kind of our job. I think I'd need a more specific answer or a question or situation to give you a better answer on that.
I'll take it.
Okay.
More? Thank you, Mr. Evans. Next, we have Donald M. Strubing, III.
Fancy name there. Most people just call me Don or Donnie. Hey, it's a pleasure to be up here this evening. I'm a newcomer here, so take it easy. Gonna tell you a little bit about who I am. I grew up in Springdale, Arkansas, but now I make my home here in Tontitown. I'm a general contractor and a former public school educator of 14 years. I'm proud to now call Tontitown home. I have a deep reverence for the people and the rich history of this community, and I'm so excited about our future. So begs the question, why choose me? So I want to tell you a little bit more about me. The highest form, the highest level of leadership a person can achieve is that of servanthood. I have always been and will always be a servant. I've spent my life helping others achieving their goals, and I see myself as a shepherd moving a herd from one good place to a better place. I feel my very best quality is being an effective communicator. Communication is not all about talking, but more importantly, about listening. You must listen and learn before you speak. And I feel that's something that I hold very dear to my heart, is hearing all sides of a topic. I am a blank slate, and I don't pretend to know all that is required of me to fulfill these obligations, but I am a lifelong learner, and I look forward to serving the residents of Tontitown. Thank you, guys. Any questions?
Any questions for Donnie?
Dang, I was either real good or real boring, so
Well, you're dead last.
well, y'all must want to move on then. Hey, thank y'all very much for your time. It's a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to be here.
Thank you, Don.
You do not have to go into executive session. There's 5, if there's
Understood,
7
but we haven't
people.
passed.
If I may say so, I mean, if you guys are going to do a special session afterwards, why don't you just do your executive session at that time? I mean, like I said, you got 5 candidates and 5 seats. So that's up to you guys.
Potentially.
No, you got
If,
5.
if this passes. I'm sorry. Yeah, if this passes at the special, yes, we would have 5 seats to fill.
Correct.
So, we can circumvent the formality of voting for anybody now and see if it passes. Then we can do the dirty work if it doesn't, and cut from 5 to 3
Okay.
at the special, if that's amenable to everybody else up here.
So you want to do the executive session during the,
That makes sense.
Is that fine with everyone else?
Yeah, that way if we voted.
Wait, that's fine. I'm good with that. We just keep this agenda moving so we don't hold people hostage any longer than we have
yeah.
to.
I understand that. I mean, I know generally we have an executive session now, and I would love to have an executive session now to digest what we just heard now, while it's still fresh, versus an hour and a half. But I understand your point, but if we're filling 3 positions right now, might be, gives us an opportunity to at least talk about it.
We're saying we're gonna wait and fill them all. Understand, that was what I was under.
Well, I'm saying that might happen, but if we had, like, if we were able to discuss in an executive committee meeting right now, while it's all still fresh, then at the special, when we're voting, we might decide, but for right now, based on what Kodak said earlier, if I understand correctly, we have to fill 3 positions tonight.
Well, all
Am I misunderstanding that?
well, not really. It's just a timing issue. The code says 5 right now, but I'm trying to change that to 7, and that can be changed in whenever we're done, as soon as we vote. So, it's got the emergency clause attached, so it would go into effect immediately. So, I think if we want to take a short break and mull over what we heard and maybe organize some thoughts so we don't wait, I don't have a problem with that. I don't know that we necessarily need to break down and have a full-fledged executive session discussion right now. But yeah, I think it might not be a bad idea for us to, and it may be a moot point. Maybe we have everybody, and I hope that's the case, because I'd like everybody that I've seen tonight. But if you want to do that, and if other council has, I mean, I was kind of trying to rank them as we go anyway, and I think I have a pretty good idea of the notes that I've taken and responses that I've gotten, but I don't have a problem if people want to take a little bit of time to organize thoughts before we go.
I would appreciate that if we can, I mean, even if we have 5 or 10.
So I got a question.
Montez.
Special to accept what was just passed.
Yes.
But at that special, it doesn't say that we're appointing anybody to those.
Well,
That's-
I
how are we going to,
think,
are we gonna amend the special?
I think that was just an assumption on our part, you know, that
I don't know that we can amend the special.
I don't think you can either.
So, but
So I think you're.
that's a
you're
good
stuck.
point.
You can't appoint them after that. So you either appoint them now or you really can't appoint them all because you didn't pass it until it's coming to the special.
Which probably means that we
So
should
you can
have it
only
in the-
appoint the 3, I think, from the way I'm understanding.
But right now, yes. And then at the special, we could say, okay, well, it passed, and then we need to talk about it. I mean,
But you
at
haven't
that point, there's
notified
nothing to
the
talk about.
media that you're gonna be voting on that. I don't think you legally can have a special. You can't amend this special.
I'll take the lawyer's
Yes,
word on
yeah,
that.
but
That's the first I'm hearing that you can't amend the special. Is that an ordinance that that's new to me? Or is the origin
I
of that
mean,
rule?
you can call it for a special purpose. And the special purpose is the expansion of the commission. I don't know either.
I don't want to confuse the issue even worse, but the legislative action you're voting on at the special is to expand from 5 to 7.
Sure.
And that says that you have to fill those 2 seats tonight. I understand you're trying for efficiency to do that, but if you have time, I suppose, to decide what to do with those other 2 seats.
And I suppose I think that's the question. Would we be able to
legally
fill those 2 seats
tonight?
Or
With the emergency clause, when does that expansion go into effect? 24 hours?
Immediately, right? Yeah. Yeah. But there would just be
And
2
so-
empty seats that you then would have to get back and you know, at the next legislative meeting or the next CAL, you'd have to fill those 2 seats.
the next.
Yeah.
And we could even add that to a city council meeting.
Sure. I know no reason why not.
So with that said, we do have to have an executive session.
So with that said, we can only put 3 tonight and
And then the next meeting,
put the other 2.
you want to have a special.
All right.
Because you're feeling so well. Tomorrow night's Friday.
I don't know about that. I mean,
Did we have
we
a
got time
special
to
tomorrow night?
discuss
Can you
that.
even post it and have it?
Saturday.
Okay, if our meeting goes until 9:15, Maddie can go and send it out to media that it's going to be changed on the special and we can do it tonight, or if it's after 9:30. If y'all are so adamant about getting it done, we can do it tonight. If she would go and do that to media.
We'll just move the special to tomorrow? Is that what you're saying, or?
No, I'm saying if she goes and does right now and goes and contacts media by 9:30, we can vote on it.
I don't think this meeting is going to last another. I mean, maybe we can all go grab a bite to eat.
We have to have the special, but do we, pardon me? For the 7?
It doesn't say anything about appointing them. About appointing them, it doesn't, this verbiage doesn't say anything about appointing, it just says we're gonna ordinance.
How about this? How about we take a little break? Mr. Farrar, do you mind looking into this, see if we can amend this? And if we can get that, and then everybody can organize their thoughts. We'll take a little short break.
Go to the
See if we can hash this out without killing people out here.
Okay, fine.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. We're going to take a 5-minute, count it, 5-minute break. We are back in session, so, I guess we have a resolution that we need to, appoint or ask 3 people to be on our commission.
Yes, resolution to affirm appointments to the Tontitown Planning Commission. I'd like to nominate, in no particular order, Scott Evans, Josh Crane, and Chris Trout for appointment to the Tontitown Planning Commission.
Roll call.
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Next, we have a discussion of an ordinance to rezone 2.89 acres from agriculture to R1 Single Family Residential located at 2150 South Barrington Road. Mr. Spurlock.
Right, ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you once again for this opportunity to speak before you guys for this rezone. What you have in front of you is a parcel of land around 2.89 acres that is currently owned by the Elizabeth Henshaw Trust, and they're wanting to split this eventually. As of right now, this land is non-compliant, and it has to come into compliance with the way it currently sits. So with the split, what they're wanting to do is split this in half to make it right around about 1.2, 1.3 acres apiece, which would put it into R1 zoning. That would make this land compliant. So with that, Planning Commission did approve this unanimously, and we do have a representative here. You guys should have all that information. Teresa Pokris is here to discuss. If you have any questions, she's representing the trust, but we're asking that you guys move this forward to City Council for approval.
In what way is it non-compliant?
Right now, it is zoned agriculture, and it's 2.89 acres, which does not fall under the current zone.
And for it to be agriculture, it needs to be five or more?
At least 5 acres.
Okay, and right next to that, I see another section that says Elizabeth Henshaw. What is that?
It's just a different tract.
Different tract. Could these also be combined into one tract?
Well, if that's what they choose to do, but this is not what they're coming.
Okay, and what is that other tract that's agriculture?
The one next to it?
Yes.
Yeah, the next one should be agriculture. Right here's the way it's shaped out as far as current zoning.
Okay, and remind me what can happen in R1.
R1, it just brings it down to, it has to be at least 1 acre minimum, and they can build a residence on there, but that's the main thing is the acreage, make sure that it's compliant.
So they could potentially in the future build 2.
When they split it, they could put 2 houses on each, one house on each tract. But what they're wanting to do, and again, Teresa's here to represent, but they're wanting to put a driveway access through this to access that back property, and that was the whole purpose of the split.
Wouldn't residential estate also do the same thing because it's 2 acres?
You can't do it because it falls under 2 acres.
Because we would have
If
2
it's
on
split
1.
between 2 people.
Well, my point is we could keep it at 2.89, but call it residential
But
estate.
she's wanting to split. That's the reason why.
Okay.
It's brother and sister dividing it.
Oh, so we are specifically dividing it into
Correct.
2 on.
Correct.
And I will say this about that particular property, it's on a hillside and they're not gonna, they're not gonna build anything on it. It's just a driveway.
Well, like I said, potentially you could put houses there.
And then,
Go ahead.
go
Mr.
ahead,
Montez.
Daniel, sorry.
We're splitting it.
Right.
And we're putting one drive on one
Teresa,
property?
you want to come?
Thank you.
Use the attorney to represent.
Pokris, and I am the attorney for the trust. And as Mr. Spurlock said, the purpose for splitting it is because Dawn Henshaw, who was the daughter of Elizabeth Henshaw, getting the 20 acres that attaches to that, and her brother Ross is getting the 31 on the bottom. And that was their agreement, was basically so they would split the property. They're planning on 2 driveways. Dawn is planning on trying to do a conservatory on her 20 acres. Their mother had given the Northwest Arkansas land, the bird sanctuary of about 22 acres. And so when Ms. Henshaw passed away, rather than try to sell 3 separate properties, Dawn and Ross agreed to split the property. And then there was this little parcel left. Evenly do it was to split it. You had a question. What was your question? Started talking and forgot that the question was.
I thought we were
Access.
doing one driveway on, we're splitting the lots, but how are we gonna do one driveway? We're gonna do one down the
No,
middle?
we're
on
doing
the
2
east-
driveways.
Okay. on
We're
the
doing
setback?
one on each side of the,
Gotcha.
split. They've already have it surveyed. I don't have the legal description of that yet.
Gotcha. I just,
So they're asking it to be rezoned so they can actually own it for each of them.
Ms. Parker, could you please scroll up a little bit or let us see what's above this? Um, Before it said Hinshaw Trust there on the right. Okay, so that Hinshaw Elizabeth B. Trust there on the right,
Yes.
Mr. Cockles, that is what? That the sanctuary or is
Okay.
that something else?
No, that's the 20 acres that Dawn is receiving, has received.
Okay,
Then the parcel below it that says Elizabeth Henshaw Trust where the lake is, that's where
Yes.
her brother gets that part. So when they split the 2 acres, put the small 2 acres,
okay,
Dawn will have the upper half,
Okay.
the east half, and Ross will have the west half.
okay. And so in this section that we're talking about, the highlighted section there, where are these drives going?
It's my understanding they're going to put a dual gate kind of in the middle of it there. I don't think that they've actually told me exactly where they're going to put them yet, but it's my understanding they're going to be adjacent to.
So is there going to be one entrance that splits?
Yes, one entrance, but 2 entrances together. 2 gates.
I
When they
see.
split it, it could be one entrance, but
Okay.
it'll actually be 2 entrances, one for the one half, the eastern half, other one.
Okay, so they came to you with the idea. You came to the city with the idea to say, hey, this is what they want to do. How do we get there? Is that right?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you. We would appreciate you all approving the rezoning.
I'm sorry, could I ask one more question?
Sure.
Would they in any way be amenable to maybe adding a little bit of Elizabeth's land, either behind it or down?
Yeah,
to
we,
expand them?
Tim, we're talking about this.
No, no,
We're
no,
not-
I understand that. But it is pertinent to the discussion, is it not?
Well.
No, it is not.
I
We are
really don't think so.
voting on a discussion to rezone the 2.8. We're not adding, we're not subtracting, we're not,
I mean, if they're not here tonight, either one of them,
Sure.
and I don't know, I can talk to them.
Well,
but,
by that time, we'll have voted
you
on it,
know,
but thank
I
you.
mean, it's probably, maybe, but probably not.
Okay, that's fine. I would love to hear the answer, and we've got 2 weeks to figure that out, but thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably want to know what you're wanting to add.
Oh, I'm not necessarily wanting to add anything. I'm not crazy about taking something that's ag and moving it to anything else.
Oh.
That's my particular. I'd rather it be like real, if it could be residential estates and we kept it at 2.89, instead of ag, it was residential estates, that could do it, but then that would mean that it would have to be 2.89.
The only way I would know to do it is to re-survey everything and add it to the
Yeah,
20
okay.
acres, add it
Sure.
to the 31.
Got it, okay.
That's-
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'll make a motion that we move this to city council.
I'll second.
roll call.
Misty,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
moving to city.
Next, we have a discussion of a resolution for STP funding. Mr. Latham.
Yes, I'm bringing this before the council. It's a resolution to apply for STP funds to the Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning to conduct a feasibility study to extend Darn Tyson from Darn Tyson Parkway, which is coming out on 112, all the way to Kelly Road. I think it's important for us to start looking at the east-west corridors. If you heard several of the gentlemen that came forward and talked about roads, about access, this is going to be very important. This road is actually currently on our master street plan. I've handed out a cost estimate that Jonathan Ely, who is here, he represents Burns and McDonald, who's helped me put this together. The actual cost of the feasibility study is $850,000. Takes us to 30% plans with the environmental access of it. Grants an 80-20, so the city's obligated roughly at $170,000. I bring this to you for 2 important reasons. And, you know, hopefully here in the next month or 2, you'll hear a little bit more about our assessments on Clink Road. You know, we hired GTS to do some weight evaluations on Klink and Dow and Kelly, along with some of the number of trucks that run through there. And we've got to find a designated route besides Klink that's going to access that landfill. That's a collector street. It's mainly going to hold residential, and as many of those large semi trucks that are coming through that area needs to be moved to some kind of minor arterial. And it can't have. It also provides, that we just talked about, a southern corridor, move traffic east and west all the way from South Penalto over to 112. Taking away a lot of traffic pushed to. Kind of interesting. Brad and I were sitting in a meeting, just to give you a little perspective. We talked about this limited access study. We met on a Zoom meeting with RDOT people Monday, and when they would talk about stuff, thinking about 6-laning 412 all the way out to 68. Does that tell you anything? We're going to have to find some ways to be able to get around town, and this is one of the areas I'd like to try to focus on, based on just the landfill traffic. This is just to apply for. We haven't got it. So got to be in on, I believe, April 2nd. Jonathan's here if you have any questions on it. I'd like to move forward on it. I think I'm going to bring you something next town meeting that I think will be very beneficial to help us fund some of this areas that have to do with the landfill traffic. Be prepared to have your thinking cap on. Okay?
Question. $30 million price tag. So
Huh?
the $30 million price tag. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you might have a way to pay for it.
That's probably underestimating.
You said we
Quite
might have a way to
frankly.
pay for it? I heard you say? Does it rhyme with Schmalton?
Hmm?
Does it rhyme with Schmalton? Just
Well, I
asking.
know there's some interest from a regional standpoint. There's been some interest, not only from the regional planning, but also from even on talking to Congressman Womack, and even talking to the Director Wiley from RDOT, talking about what this road would be, especially with the landfill traffic. So anybody have any questions on anything?
Got a quick one for you. So it looks like the application's for about $850,000, so we would be responsible for 20% of that. Do you feel like the city's in a good position to where if we were granted it, we've got those funds to
We could actually
facilitate that?
use,
Yeah.
we could actually use impact fees on it.
I love it.
Looking for a motion.
Make a motion to move this to.
Second.
Roll call.
Mike,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty.
Yes.
Moving to city.
Excuse me. Next, we have a discussion of a resolution to authorize the solicitation of bids for the purchase of a mini excavator for the street department. Mr. Latham.
Yes, we're requesting to let bids for a mini excavator, which is actually in the budget currently under fixed assets. This is actually part, I want you guys to realize this is part of your purchase manual. Anything that's in fixed asset must come get approval before we actually know that. Currently, the street department doesn't have an excavator. They basically share when they can with the water and sewer department. And I will tell you, the water and sewer department, as well as the street department, are very busy, and one excavator is not enough to be able to handle. Continues to come up. This year, the street department had to rent an excavator for clearing out on spring storms events. We did quite a bit of work up on Steel Road, and we're working on other drainage areas that need to be addressed. We are moving forward in the street department doing a maintenance program for clearing culverts. and also using on some other duties as assigned. So we're looking for you to get approval for us to move forward to solicit bids for this excavator. Question?
Questions, council?
So this time, you don't have the bids.
No, we're just, this is
I mean, for
part
the
of, this
opportunity.
was part of the purchase.
Gotcha.
Anything that's in a fixed asset.
To the council. Yep. Okay. Understand.
Mr. Latham, thank you for that. I very much appreciate that. And I would like to make a motion to approve or to send it to city council.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Now, this is just to acquire the bid.
Yes.
Okay. Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes. Next, we have a discussion of accepting low bid for re-roofing 13 city buildings. Mr. Clark.
Yes, sir. This was quite a project. Didn't realize there were so many hungry roofers out there. We, we actually received 11 bids on this project. Pretty wide spectrum of bids. If you looked at the bid sheet that was in the packet, low of about 187,000 up to about 370, I think 370. Anyway, so the apparent low bidder, Oliver's Custom Roofing, that's the one that's marked on your sheet as the low bid. As I was looking through this just today, I noticed that on their bid bond, they only provided a 5% bid bond. In the bidding instruction, they were to provide a 10% bid. So I'm afraid that will disqualify them as the successful bidder. Spoke with the attorney before the meeting. He agrees that basically don't follow the rules, the bid's not accepted. The next low bid was Arkansas Roofing Company at $192,000. They provided the correct bid bond at 10%. They also included a breakdown of all of their individual bids for the buildings, which we didn't request that, but most of the roofers did provide it. So I would recommend to you that we would accept the bid from Arkansas Roofing Company for $192,494.83. Any questions about that?
Is Arkansas Roofing Company is spelled with a K?
It is.
It is.
And I'm assuming all these are reputable.
Yes. Matter of fact, Arkansas Roofing Company does a lot of work with as far as not just roofs, but building repairs and construction.
How soon would this get started? Because believe it or not, I think it's going to start to rain.
They are ready to get started. Like I said, we've got some hungry roofers out there. We opened bids last Thursday, and I bet, I don't know how many emails and phone calls I've got from them.
Okay.
Do we know yet? Do we not?
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion.
Real quick.
So I did put this on the special meeting
Yes, you
tonight
did.
for approval. So if you would move it to that, I would appreciate it.
So Oliver Custom Roofing was counted out, even though it says bond, yes, it was for a 5%, not a 10.
Yeah, they had a bond, but it was 5%,
Interesting.
not 10.
Okay. I thought
5%
maybe
not what? What's that word?
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, sorry. My southern accent.
You're right. Where are you from?
I'd rather not say.
Getting a motion.
It's a bummer.
I'll make the motion to move this to a special.
Roll call.
Larry,
Yes.
Daniel,
No.
Misty, Tim.
No.
Mike.
Yes.
Moves to special.
All right, next, we have a discussion of a resolution authorizing the city to enter a contract with Schulte?
Schulte.
There's no L.
Should be.
Well,
Oh, you're right. There's not an L. It's Schulte.
Schulte Supply for cellular meter equipment. Mr. Clark.
Yeah, so this is the result of the exercise we went through with Spiegler Consulting to help us choose a cellular meter system. We have decided on the Neptune system, which is sold by Schulte Supply. They are the rep for that. And what they provided us is not really a contract. I maybe wouldn't necessarily need council approval because there's no amount of purchase agreed to in this. It's just providing the pricing. And once I sign this, then it locks that pricing in for at least a year. That's all we're looking for approval on right now, is just to enter a pricing agreement with them. And then any meters that we purchase going forward will be at the price listed in that agreement.
Mr.
If that-
Clark, if I may speak.
Go ahead, Mayor.
You're allowed to enter into a contract with any company as long as it is under a year without going to council.
Under a year or not over
A year or under,
Correct.
correct. Anything over a year,
Right.
then it has to come to council, just so.
But I mean, like I say, it's technically not a contract.
Right.
Because there's not a dollar amount attached to it. It's providing pricing for us going forward, locking it in.
Would you mind if we reworded this then? It says for the purchase. So can we change it to establishing a pricing agreement? If we're not going to purchase anything. Resolution at the top, City of Tontitown. Okay. Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for the purchase. So,
I mean,
you're saying,
purchase, but it also says in here that proposed contract establishes fixed pricing, but does not require minimum purchase commitment.
right,
But, I mean,
but
if-
there's, that means, there is some purchase commitment required if I read that correctly. I mean, I see that, I saw that, there's some other questions that we had on this. So I guess really what I need to know, are we committing any funds to this, at this particular time? And maybe it's out of our hands anyway, it sounds like.
I mean, I certainly don't have a problem if you want to change the way this is worded.
I just want to know what it is. I mean,
Mhm.
that's, you raised, why I brought that up. I don't, I didn't know. When I read it, I thought and I saw the options for it, I thought we were going to commit to a purchase tonight or sending it to council for a vote tonight. That's what I thought, just by reading
I
it.
thought
So
the
when
same
you
thing.
threw me that thing about, this is just a pricing agreement, that's where that comes.
Okay. I mean, I plan to buy meters from them. Going forward, all of the meters that we purchase, I plan on being cellular meters. And I've got a locked-in price on those for at least a year. I have in my budget every year a line item just for meters. This year, I've got about $100,000 in that line. So
Mhm.
any meters that I order for new development, subdivisions, whatever, they will be the cellular meters.
Yeah, some of these are, considerably more, the 4 different options, obviously.
Right.
So you have a preference?
Some of them are larger meters. So yes, those are more expensive.
Sure.
But there's also 2 different types of the residential 5/8 by 3/4 meters. The ones we will be purchasing will be with the built-in antenna.
Was that the Mach 10?
They are the Mach 10, yes.
Okay. Is that the preferred option for you? I mean, there were 4 of them given to. I looked up these things and I saw that, that seems to be a pretty substantial piece of equipment.
Yes, that's definitely the preferred
Okay.
model.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark, is there a point in the future where this council approves whether or not we do these meters? I know we've talked a lot about it, but I mean, is this the last stand, so to speak? Like, we make this decision and then you go off and you buy your meters?
I start buying cellular.
Okay,
meters.
okay, thank you, appreciate that. So, you and I have talked about this, we talked about it about a month ago, and I appreciate
Mhm.
your understanding and talking, but, you know, a lot of people aren't crunchy health gurus, but there are people who get really, really upset about these cellular meters. So here's all I'd like to request. If, and James and I have already talked about this, if citizens want to opt out for a charge, then their meters could be read by a city worker, but it would add a fee to their bill. Maybe 10% or whatever you think is fair and reasonable for the time spent on that. And I know that it may not be the fear of those of you on this particular council, but it is a concern to some. And it won't harm the city if those that are concerned pay to opt out of those meters. Would that stipulation be amenable to my fellow council members, so that we can be a little more sensitive to those who may have a concern?
And you're talking about the EMFs.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. No, I don't, I mean, if we want to give people the option to opt out of that, I don't, does it create more logistical headaches? I mean, I would suspect it might, but
Will create some. Honestly, I don't think there will be that many that will opt out.
I agree with you.
probably not. Okay. I don't have,
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. And
Mr. Burris already has a cellular meter.
that, yeah, yeah, I do. That's right, I do. And I don't have the opportunity to opt out of it.
Okay.
Good point.
Looking
And
for a
I'm one of
motion.
those people who wish I didn't. I will make a motion to approve. Correct. yes.
I'm sorry. Changes.
we don't need to change this.
I don't think we need those changes here, and I don't think we need them in writing yet, but at some point, if you want, I can bring something that speak to that.
We're not changing of the,
No, I don't think we need to change the resolution.
Okay.
right?
No, I don't think so.
Not changing the resolution.
I don't think so.
You've made a motion.
So
I have-
which option are we going with? Option B, option C, option D? We don't care.
Or is that to be determined later?
Mach
I think
10
that's
is,
B.
Mach 10 is mentioned in B, and it's also Mach 10 mentioned in D, and D was quite significant.
What's option? B? Ultrasonic water meters with integrated cellular.
803,037.
But, well, yeah, if we bought them all.
Right, okay.
But
We're not buying anything, we're locking in the price.
we're just locking in the price. Correct.
Don't think it'll go down? I know that's a silly question.
Yeah. You know, sometimes technology does go down over time, but
Not this stuff.
I don't really expect it. So really what I'm looking at is I'm going to be paying $259.95 per meter.
Gotcha.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Daniel,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
moving to city.
Thank you.
Next, we have a discussion of a resolution to purchase a used 3/4 ton truck
1 ton.
or 1
Depending
ton.
on what we find. We had this in the budget, we had in last year, and it's so hard to buy a used truck or to find a used truck that you want and then get them to hold it until we can have a council meeting or special meeting or a cow meeting and a council meeting. So what I would hope that you would do is allow me to have a $60,000 budget to find a truck for that amount. That's what this resolution says. We do have the money in the budget before you ask. again this year.
I knew that, but you knew I would ask anyway. Thank you.
Right. But anyway, if you will approve the expense, then we will find a vehicle that meets our needs for that price.
We've
Or
done
less.
that. Yeah, we've done that before
Yes.
for
Yes.
PD and others.
Is this going to be as Mark's everyday driver, or is it?
Yes.
To your point of why you're bringing it to us to get an allowance, would you not be able to, I mean, I've done it, but would you not be able to take $1,000 and put a deposit on that truck so that you could hold it till, or have right of first refusal?
Sometimes.
You
Yeah.
just don't play with the city's money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I have done that in the past, but if it's when, the meeting is just a day or two away. And it seems like every time we find a truck we want, it's a month away from meeting time.
I would only, out of personal preference, maybe even encourage you to find a white truck. Color rather, I think last time we talked about a permit, it was either permits or section truck, and maybe even a navy blue truck. And
Oh, no. Oh, it'll definitely be white.
A white.
Or purple.
Or purple.
Yeah, that's the only other option.
Down purple.
That's right.
I think the mayor has.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're suggesting, actually had last time. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think the building inspector.
Absolutely. Correct.
Something.
Just like to have final say on.
Can I make a request? Because I don't necessarily have the same concerns that Councilmember Montez does, but I want to be sensitive to his concerns. And I think of the six of us, I believe that Councilmember Montez is the most knowledgeable about this. Would you be willing, when you find the right thing, to talk to him?
Sure.
And would you be okay with that? So I would be okay approving your allowance if we're willing to talk to Daniel and get his yeah, and frankly, his approval before you move forward.
I'm fine with that.
Well,
I
my
mean,
point is, as a member of the council, for him, if we say, I'd like to do it. Well, but if we pass now the ordinance that says that, Mr. Farrar, can we do that?
Or I could just ask.
I'm gonna
his
have to look into
opinion.
that. I don't know. That's a brand new one. You're saying pass the resolution that agrees that the purchase is contingent upon one city council member's approval.
Yeah, in this
That
particular case.
sounds suspect.
A little suspect? Okay.
Yeah,
Then
let me look into that before you do that.
that's fine. But you would be willing to ask his opinion.
Yeah, I think that's the way to word that.
I can get behind.
Not a problem.
Then I'll make a motion to approve with that gentleman's agreement.
Yes, sir.
I'll second.
Mike disagrees.
Roll call.
I need a second.
I
I
second.
think Danny
Danny
did.
did.
You can hear it over my coughing.
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty, Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Next, we have a discussion of a resolution authorizing the solicitation of statements of qualifications for professional engineering fees. Mr. Clark.
As Mr. Latham stated just a few minutes ago, part of our purchasing policy now is when we go out for RFQs, that needs to be approved by council. Quick and simple, I'm going to advertise for engineering qualifications. This says fees. That should not say fees. RFQs can have nothing to do with fees. So that will not be included in the advertisement, which you have in your packet.
Services.
Engineering services.
Yes. That's what it says in the red.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's correct. If there's no questions or discussions, I'm willing to make a motion to send that to city council.
I'll second.
Roll call.
That was Misty that seconded.
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
After you voted, does that actually need to go to city council? I know, I think last month we did one for the CPA and
Yeah,
How
this
it
is-
was.
at the cow, it was approved, so didn't have to go to council.
I think we
And it-
said we approved it rather than passing. We just passed it. to
We
the
just
city
passed it
council.
to city
We
council.
didn't approve it. So now it has to go in the.
I mean, I don't,
It's
I
fine
think you
either.
can solicit
Yeah.
RFQs tomorrow if you want it. I mean, I may be wrong.
Mr.
Farrar
Farrar?
can probably answer that, but
You guys are coming up with some unique questions tonight.
He's still working on
I
the
don't-
last
I don't-
question.
Welcome
know why it
aboard,
has
Yeah,
to wait.
yeah, no, I
Welcome
know.
aboard.
Why am I surprised? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into it. I don't have that in front of me. Like,
Like
if-
I say,
I think you could.
It's not a big deal. I can wait 2 weeks to,
All right. I'm
no,
sorry.
it's fine.
Okay.
And I'm sorry.
that's what I'm here for. It's fine.
Still on.
You want,
vote
you want
on
it?
that?
Can we get you a chair?
Oh, no, this is I'm almost done. And you'll have to look
Okay,
at me anyway.
so next we have a discussion of a resolution authorizing the use of Water Department reserve funds for completion of the water tank project. Mr. Clark.
Yes, sir. I've talked about this almost every
Lee?
month for the last 6 months, but I did make an updated sheet and put it on the council desk before the meeting. We actually made another payment today, and I added that into the spreadsheet, added a few more, excuse me, added a few more numbers there for you to look at. But bottom line is, we're looking at not $1 million, but about 834,000. That would, hey, I can buy more meters. No, but anyway, we're going to have a shortage of about 834. I checked with Pat today, made him go over these numbers to make sure I was correct, and also found out how much we actually have in savings, which is about 3.2 million currently.
But,
Me either.
but honest and women, right, quick as possible. So I think we have no other option. And that said, I'm going to make a motion to send it to city council, or,
Yes.
okay, then that's what I will do.
Because we shouldn't have to dip into our funds until late April.
But thank you.
Thank you.
There's a motion.
Mr. Burks, your motion is to pull out 1 million or?
No. I'm sorry, no. Well, I think for now, if it's 834, I would say 834. Is that exact? How close?
No, it's not exact.
Can we say 835?
Number
835.
I mean, it's an estimate because in that left column, or the estimated payment column, they provided early on in the project a pay schedule. As you can see, the column just to the right of that is what, well, actually 2 columns to the right of that is so it's not just what it was projected. So
Understood.
it will fluctuate a little bit.
Do we need to wait until the April cow meeting to get a closer number?
I mean, we'll get a little closer, but it's still not going to be the exact number. There's a number that, if you notice down at the very bottom, that I didn't include in here. We've actually generated some interest on this money, about a little over $70,000. And that will continue to grow, and we will just use that as we get to the end of the project.
Would you be okay if I said up to 850,000?
I mean,
Obviously, we have to pay whatever it is, but for the
Right.
purposes of tonight.
Yeah. That should get us through the project.
Fellow council members, any objection to that? Okay, well, I guess we'll vote on it in a second, but that will be, vote at council, with that it's up in 50,000.
Okay. And then if it goes over that, I'll just have to come back and,
For the extra 6,000 or whatever.
yeah, right.
We can probably find that.
I can,
In 20, I wouldn't have to come back. Huh?
Good point.
Okay, roll call.
Mike? Tim?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Misty?
yes.
Moving to six.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Next, we have a discussion regarding Montagani Road. Mr. Latham.
Zach Johnson had brought to me that the Montagani projects that's currently under construction is only doing half the street. And so trying to match up the other half creates some issues out there. And I think Zach, any questions, but he did bring this up to my attention. And nice to be able to get everything even instead of having made a contact with the contractor and for roughly what, 38,000 to actually completely pave that other mill overlap. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to have a full street that matches and not be fully wampum. So if I'm just bringing this to our attention. If that's something you would like us to pursue, if not, we'll move on. But I think it's for that amount of money to pave one full lane, including milling it, asphalting 2-inch asphalt all the way to Spinoto, I think that's a fabulous deal compared to what we've seen the cost of streets. Any questions? Zach's right here, the engineer on the.
We talking about one of the east-west lanes, or we're talking about north of where the new part's going in? I don't, where
So,
exactly?
yeah, so the job was called Managani Half Street Improvements.
Sure.
So it focused specifically on the west side of Managani between Veneto and 412,
Okay.
right to the center line.
Mhm.
So out there you can see all the new storm sewer, the curb and
Mhm.
gutter cases on the west. That original project had stopped at the center line of the road. So they were going to mill, so you get a clean new half street improvement. Well, the other side of the street would not be overlaid or milled, and I think so. For an additional, we've estimated about $40,000. We can whole thing with a new pavement section.
Did they present that estimate to you?
I off of the unit bids per the contract, so we'll use what's even bid and talk to the contractor about it, and they're fine with that. So there's two line items within the for a mill, and then to come over into a 2-inch overlay on top of that. And so using what they've already bid with the new quantities.
Well, I mean, that doesn't say. I would echo that, you know, I travel and being that I'm on that side of town. That's a very used road, especially with the traffic in the morning and traffic in the evening. So, I mean.
There's that beat up.
Yes, that's, I mean, it's a high traffic area.
Absolutely.
To get to 112, so 40,000 sounds pretty reasonable.
Well, I'll have that finalized before the next meeting, but that's where I've got it ballparked.
Appreciate that. I'd be willing to entertain.
Okay.
Listening to that.
Okay, cool.
And getting an agreement.
We just do it through the change order process, so it shouldn't be too bad.
And you're confident that it's good enough to do what we need to do?
Can you be more?
Well, I mean, we're not overlaying a brand new road the expensive way.
Right. We're gonna get some more life out of it. Now, you know, Managani is not built on its upgrade. That road is going to deteriorate faster than a well-bit road. But the current asphalt it's cracked all get out. So this would give the complete road a longer lifespan just compared to what it is now.
Current traffic patterns in that area, I mean, do we get another 5 years out of it, 10 years?
Yeah,
Do we
I
know?
think you'd get another 5 years out.
Okay.